Good morning to you from Spielberg in Austria, where it's finally time for the GP3 season to restart after a seemingly never-ending wait for action. Nearly 2 months after Barcelona, we're ready for what promises to be an incredibly tight session. It's qualifying for this afternoon's race here at round 2 of the 2016 GP3 series. I'm your commentator, Alex Jakes. Now, in the first round, all eyes were on Charles Leclerc and ART. Could they live up to the billing of pre-season favourites? Well, they emphatically answered that question with a superb performance. A debut win for the Monegasque driver and a clean sweep of races for the French team. In the two-day test held between rounds 1 and 2, who was fastest? You've guessed it, ART and Leclerc. They also topped practice yesterday, so to be honest, he looks odds-on to secure pole. It will be a real surprise if that's not the combination at the front for this afternoon's race. Who could stop him? Well, there's a lot of contenders. It's likely to be a threat within the ART stable. Nick de Vries was second yesterday by a tiny margin. And can anyone halt the progress of ART and Charles Leclerc, who announced that terrific Formula One development deal with the Haas Formula One team? He'll be running in 5 Formula One free practices this year, despite the fact that within this field, the man you're looking at the back of your picture, Santino Ferrucci, is a development driver for the Haas Formula One team. But the Monegasque driver getting that opportunity, and the driver's now out on track, as you can see, beginning the familiar process, weaving side to side. That's to generate tyre temperature, that's to generate brake temperature. They're going to do this for 2 laps before attempting their first runs here at the stunning venue of Spielberg. The circuit, just the 9 corners, the fewest anywhere on the GP3 calendar, and just a length of 2.6 miles, 4.3 kilometers. This part of the racetrack really important to get right. It's the 90-degree corners that start this lap. Turns 1, turn 2, huge braking requirements on the drivers, and we saw a lot of drivers not warming their tyres up, not getting their front tyres switched on yesterday, and that really did hurt them in this part of the lap, the middle sector. It's turns 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now here's a man who might well cause a few problems for the ART team. Antonio Fuoco of Trident, the Ferrari junior driver, scored his first podium here 1 year ago for the Carlin team. He has switched to Trident, and he is looking a very strong bet around this racetrack as well. Nare Fukuzumi, a man who stood on the podium in Barcelona. He, of course, coming from Japan, he has never raced outside of Asia before this year. And he looking very much at home. Of course, the Pirelli tyres are very difficult to get used to. We hear that from everyone who hasn't raced on the Pirelli rubber. Would have helped all the rookies in the field. There are 15 of them. That it is a new car for this year. If you weren't with us in Barcelona, it's the GP3 16, built by Dallara, a brand new car for this season. And that one of the primary reasons for the in-season test held here 3 weeks ago. Getting more data for the teams, getting more data for the drivers. It's going to be interesting next week at Silverstone to see what the drivers are capable of without huge testing mileage around the circuit that they're racing on. And Fukuzumi has begun the process of warming tyres and brakes, and he begins his first timed lap in anger around this circuit. You can see the curbs on the exit of turn 1 there, the yellow sausage curb that were causing an awful lot of problems Fukuzumi all the way up the hill, and there's the problem with turn 2. Very easy to lock a brake, and of course, he's off the road. That is the issue for all of the drivers. You don't have the brakes up to temperature. This is so simple to do. They all say it, and Fukuzumi just that bit too late, heading off the racetrack, and that lap, of course, is ruined. We join his teammate, car number 1, Charles Leclerc. He starts his free practice runs with the Haas Formula 1 team next week in Silverstone, so we'll be combining that first free practice session along with his GP3 program. The man that everyone knows they have to beat, the Ferrari junior driver. So many drivers in this field have options and deals with Formula 1 teams higher up the ladder. Let's see where Leclerc puts his ART. Over the line, and he's fastest of anyone by a comfortable margin, a 1:20.8. He was in the low 1:20s. Here is Alex Albon marginally behind his teammate at this stage. Albon, of course, our other race winner in Barcelona, took the lead at the start and stayed there. Here's Antonio Fuoco taking a lot of curb on the exit of turn number 3. Another driver in the Ferrari junior stable. Plunging down the hill now into the fast turn 6 and 7, which becomes one very high-speed chicane. We're on board with him as he heads to the fastest corner on the racetrack. 160 miles an hour now he's building up to, down through the gears. How much dare he take on this opening run? We've seen cars much further to the right of that camera this weekend. Fuoco over the line, and he's third at the moment. Stuvig showed good pace yesterday at one point, then fell away. He is fourth in the order. Leclerc now will be getting a tow from his teammate and going faster still by an enormous margin, and that is much closer to the pace we saw from the Monegasque driver in practice yesterday. So he set a 1:20.0 yesterday. He has set a 1:20.1 at the moment as we look at Ralph Boschung in the Korean GP car. So Leclerc, Albon, De Vries, Fuoco, Stuvig, Palau, the man you're looking at right here, going for a second lap. All of the drivers saying degradation not an issue at all. It is a low grip surface around this Spielberg circuit, but it's not affecting degradation at all, and Palau improves to fourth place. But he's immediately displaced by Jack Aitken, who, despite his lowly position yesterday, was very pleased indeed with the way that the car felt. Here's Santino Ferrucci, and we're looking at Albon behind him, going very wide indeed into the Jochenrinck corner. See it one more time, and getting over the Verstappen curves as he makes turn 9, but puts all four wheels off the racetrack. The aggressive curbs have been installed to try and end the problem with track limits. We haven't seen any warnings from the stewards so far, so they appear to be doing their job. Here's Nick De Vries, second yesterday, the McLaren junior driver. The fourth of the listed ARTs, leaving a little bit on the table through turn 8. Looking very tidy indeed through turn 9. Is this enough to displace his teammate on the first set of runs? It is by a tiny margin of 0.03 of a second. So De Vries very, very confident around this racetrack, and he's fastest of anyone so far. As we have a look at Jack Aitken heading into turn number 3. No lockup on the way in, but getting greedy on the way out, and spraying gravel all over the road for the competitors behind. He is currently in 7th place. Konstantin Tereshchenko in the other Campos. Across the line, he is only 15th at this moment. And we still have Matt Parry in the pits. So does Matt Parry have a concern at the moment? He has now headed out onto the racetrack. so electing to ignore the first 10 minutes of the session. As I said, tyres, the soft compound, no real degradation, so the driver's able to push for multiple laps. Don't always see that across the season. And Leclerc responds to his teammates' time with the fastest time of all. We're on board with Albon now. What can he do in response? Personal best in the first and second sector. And just a 10th adrift as we have a ART 1, 2, 3, 4 with Leclerc, Albon, De Vries and Fukuzumi. Aitken trying to do something about that now in the middle sector of the lap. Building up to 160 miles an hour. This corner really drops away far more than you're able to tell from the pictures. Heading downhill, this the lowest point on the circuit. You can get aggressive with these curves. There's nothing to bite you on the exit of turn 9, and Jack Aitken goes through and he improves to 6th. He is ahead of Tunjo, on board with Antonio Fuoco. How's it been for him so far? Not the first sector he would have wanted. A personal best in the middle part of the lap. He's first sector a 10th off the ultimate pace of Leclerc. He's middle sector, not too far away at all. Where did this put Fuoco? It's 4th, but 3/10 adrift. So he continues his good form that he showed here last year, and he's a contender. In the test, I should mention, we saw the entire field separated by only 1 second, and at the moment a second is covering 1st to 13th. 13th is Akash Nandi. They expect that to close up as we go further into the session, as De Vries crosses the line with a 1:20.0 to go 3rd. And that is Stein Stotthorst getting a little bit of oversteer, unsettling the entry to the corner and sending him over the high yellow sausage curbs. And you see the problem is that you damage the underside of the car if you run directly over them. Here's Jake Dennis at turn 1 having a big moment, and that's the thing, you have to elect to jump the corner very early or risk causing damage to the underside of your car. Antonio Fuoco we're on board with is coming back into the pits, and so the end of the initial runs coming to a close with that man, the man we expected to be on top, Charles Leclerc, indeed the fastest, leading his teammates, and the fastest non-ART runner is Antonio Fuoco. We've still yet to see a representative lap time from Paris. Leclerc, was he expected to be called into the weighbridge there? No problem for him. Clearly having communications on the radio about what needs to improve for the crucial final runs. So he is received by his team. A lot of work to do. This is the first season, of course, that teams have been allowed to run 4 cars. So an awful lot to deal with in terms of feedback for the drivers, especially when you have 4 drivers in the top 5. Elsewhere, it's looking fairly strong for Trident, who are the team that won both races here last year with Luca Giotto and Oscar Tunjo. So Leclerc managed to avoid the weighbridge, but Albon has been snared by scrutineering, and now he is back into the order. The driver who ended a really long wait for a win in single-seaters with his victory in Barcelona. He hadn't won since 2012. Here is Charles Leclerc, the man currently fastest at this stage. You can see just about dipping all 4 wheels off the racetrack, but doing so with a real degree of control. Look at that, right to the very margin of the curb. And that is the sort of commitment you need around the 2.6 miles and 9 corners of this racetrack. If you're wondering why we are down to 22 runners today, Mahavir Raghunathan will not continue racing with the Karajan team, so Karajan are only fielding the 3 cars. And we're down to 3 Tridents as well, as Giuliano Alesi, who had a big crash at turn 1 yesterday, was not able to take part in this session due to medical reasons. And we wish Giuliano a very quick recovery with the next round, of course, in Great Britain at Silverstone in just a week's time. Boschung out on the racetrack. It's not been the easiest session so far by the looks of things for Karajan. Only 14 minutes on the clock. So they've got a lot of work to do. Terashenko currently the slowest man of all. And then in front of him, Jake Hughes. Remember, the man driving for Dams, only his 2nd round in the series. But he was the man on pole position 7 weeks ago. And he, reflecting what we saw, unfortunately, in practice, he was 22nd in practice. He's 21st today. So a dream start turning into a bit of a nightmare for the Dams crew and Jake Hughes. But he has time, of course, to correct that with the 2nd run still to go. Boschung electing to run in the gap. We saw a lot of drivers yesterday as we look at Matevos Esikan, Boschung's teammate, coming through the final corner. Let's see where this time puts him. 14th in the order at the moment. He won't be overly thrilled with that, but it was a personal best in all 3 sectors. So Esikan through the first turn, and that is where he has lost a lot of time in the first sector, dipping 2 wheels over the wrong side. Well, here's Matt Parry, who's beaming from ear to ear, the proud Welshman after their heroics yesterday, and he's got himself up the order, the highest Karajan car, to get himself to 6th. And interestingly, we saw a lot of cars in GP2 qualifying yesterday running into each other. We've got a lot of penalties for blocking in GP2, and Karajan have seen that and are electing to run in the gap. The first of which, Ralph Boschung, who's just seen his teammate post the 6th fastest time. He is in 11th position, but setting personal best in the first sector. The second sector, and a huge kick of oversteer through the final corner was giving him the big build-up, but a little bit too much in terms of commitment into 9. All the drivers feel they can really attack turn 9 because there are no curbs that you have to watch out for, like you have in turn 1, like you have in turn 2. So had a little bit of a twitch into 8, and then he'd lost it really before the apex of 9 once again. So the rear stepping out, the lap ruined, and he will have to settle for what is now already 12th position. Luckily, not a single piece of gravel in sight, and he's able to recover to the racetrack. So Charles Leclerc was not on pole position in Barcelona, but he's looking an unbelievably strong bet. Who can stop him? Well, his teammate Albon is only a 10th adrift. De Vries, Nick De Vries, is currently 2 tenths away. And there is De Vries. So Fukuzumi in 5th with a large chunk to find, but the track getting ever quicker, of course. It's back out onto the racetrack, back onto another warm-up lap. Alex Palau down in 15th position. We know last year he is capable of qualifying in the top 3. We saw it plenty of times. Last year his problem was then converting that pace on race day. Well, some of that one-lap pace more suited to the previous car than this year's GP3 16, as ART head out onto the racetrack slightly earlier than we'd normally have, but just a reminder that the tyres are lasting a lot longer. It's a very short lap. And so the process begins once again. We saw the problem for Fukuzumi if you don't get this right. We heard yesterday from GP2 that Gasly's early pace in the session was possible by going slightly cautiously on the initial lap and then when things were up to temperature, and then slightly cautiously, like an 80% lap, I think he described it as afterwards, and then when it counts, really on the second time lap, if you like, really give it absolutely everything. It was good enough for third place on the grid for Gasly in GP2. Palau will be desperate. He was so frustrated to endure another difficult home race 7 weeks ago in Barcelona. Did not score points. 19th and 14th on that occasion. Slightly down on what we saw yesterday. He was in the top 10, running in 9th in practice as the sun set yesterday. But he has elected to get himself nice, clear track position. The problem, of course, will be that others will fill the track in front of him as they all escape the pit lane. And when they're happy with the temperatures, we'll go for maximum attack. And it's always brilliant to see who can thread the needle around this corner, around this track with so few corners, because it puts so much pressure on getting the 9 that there are right. Nearly half of this lap full throttle for the GP3 cars. So it's who's got the confidence under braking, who can rotate the car through those crucial turns 1, turn 2. And at the moment, you have to say ART, who have consistently been running in the test session with all 4 cars in the top 7 on both days, and now all 4 cars in the top 5 as we go into the final stages of qualifying. So can Hughes improve from his position? Stotthorst yesterday, Stein Stotthorst, managed a very strong position of 3rd. He's way down in 18th. So we have drivers in the pack, including Palau, who we've been following on his installation lap, as really slightly out of position for what you'd expect. Oscar Tunjo, a man who won the race, the sprint race, the second race, I should say, here last year. He is down in 13th. He was on the podium in Barcelona. So the form not being carried across in every respect from the first round of the season. Seeing a much better showing, especially from Matt Parry, who, from what we saw of his rookie season in 2015, we would expect him to be in the top 10. The Welshman had a torrid time of things as well in Barcelona, with 12th and 20th positions. Palau has sent it wide through turn 3 as we joined him there. So you can take a little bit of curve, but if you get wide, if you push it onto the green concrete that lines that corner, you get yourself in real trouble. And you can see what it's done to his lap. Half a second adrift in the middle part of the lap. I wonder if he'll elect to continue, though. He's going to have to, in order to... So he's not backed off in order to get track position. And off the road in a fairly major way is the Genza in front of him. Palau stays where he is, down in 15th position. And in front we saw Gonda getting a swap on into turn 9. Here is Stein Stotthorst. We've seen him have problems into turn 2 earlier in the session. It's more of the same when it matters. The man 3rd yesterday, not with the braking where he wants it. Here's Konstantin Tereshchenko, Stotthorst's teammate, with the majority of his lap already completed. It's not looking brilliant for him at this stage. No personal best in the first and second sectors. That's reflected with the time, a 1:21.2, and Tereshchenko, sorry, will stay in 22nd last of the runners at the moment. Boschong flying through our picture as we wait instead for Gonda. There he goes. But here's the man who is lighting up the timing screens at the moment, Jack Aitken, with a fastest, with the personal best that he has achieved so far in this session. Pretty ordinary middle sector, though. So not expecting the rapid rise that maybe the early part of this lap promised. Out of the final corner, where does Aitken place the Arden? And he does not improve from 7th place. So now we go back to the battle for pole. And Leclerc really not attacking in any way at all. So I wonder if this... He's got so much confidence in the car, but that is way off. So I wonder if that was an 80% lap like we saw from Gasly, and whether he will really attack now. Narei Fukuzumi has got himself up into second position, and Alexander Albon, by just 3 thousandths of a second, has taken provisional pole with under 5 minutes to go. Expect that to change, though. Nick de Vries, the McLaren Junior, desperate to do something about it. Personal best in the first sector, not great in the middle sector, though. That's half a second adrift of his teammate. The ARTs now once again occupying the top 4 positions as their dominance of GP3 continues. The team champions, of course, from 2015. As we rejoin Leclerc, the man who has set the fastest first sector of anyone, and you can see the margin he's got on his teammate, but can he hold it all together? Terrific commitment on the exit of turn 7. Over the crest. What's he got for us into the Jochenrinck corner? How far dare he push to the curb, leaving a bit of a margin? So is there even more speed from Leclerc, who's tidy through 9 and surely about to take provisional pole? And he absolutely does, by an enormous margin of 7 tenths. Terrific lap. What his teammate got in response. Albon is off, and he's half a second off his teammate, but he does improve his time to a 1:19.5, even if he has got a damaged front wing mirror. Here's Jake Dennis in the Arden trying to do something about the domination. He's up to 4th. And his teammate Tatiana Calderon is in 6th position. Foucault locking up as he heads out of the final corner. And that's cost him. That has cost Antonio Foucault, who stays in 7th position. And it's all about building momentum and confidence in the car. Remember, our runner-up last year, Luca Giotto, said he was able to achieve all of those pole positions we saw from him in the Trident because he had total confidence in the car. He was our pole sitter last year. So Oscar Tunjo getting wide, and that is the end for his left wing mirror. Such is the vibration. Watch it through the corner, over onto the aggressive yellow curves. It's cost him lap time, it's cost him the wing mirror. Thankfully that debris is off the racetrack, though, and we do not require any yellow flags. We're riding on board with Foucault. Stuvig, not where he needs to be at this stage of the session. 7 tenths adrift at this stage. He's in 10th. He is setting personal best, though, so he is going to improve. If he can hold it together, this would put him up to 6th place if he could maintain the speed he's shown around other parts of the lap. Stuvig over the line for Trident, but he's lost more time in the final sector. Disappointing for the Thai driver. So, ordinary sectors being set by the 2 at the front. What's Matt Parry got for us? He's a second of the Koreans. He's up to 5th place, and he displaces his compatriot Dennis. Boschung is 9th. It's changing all the time. Ferrucci has got himself up into 8th position. Then we have Dennis in 7th, Parry in 6th, Fukuzumi in 5th. And we're with him as he tries to improve and catch his teammates in front. Boschung has improved to 4th as well, with personal bests in all 3 sectors. Fukuzumi now into turn 8. Pretty similar curb usage to his teammate. Gets aggressive, running right to the outside of turn 9. Where does this put the Japanese driver? He can't improve. And the middle sector again proving costly for the man that finished 4th in Japanese Formula 3 last year. So we're counting down. Leclerc is about to try and set another lap. Oh, he's off the road in the background there, the ART of de Vries. And that's caused problems. He's very slow indeed. No one at the moment is setting personal bests. It's looking very good for ART. This is Albon into the final corner. and he recovered. And here's De Vries doing a pretty decent impression of his teammate a moment ago. So we're on board with Tunjo as the clock counts down to 0. But he has managed to get himself up to 7th, and he clobbers the curb on the exit of the corner. So an absolutely frenetic session. Is anyone on a lap that can improve things? Doesn't appear so at this time. And ART, well, what do you know? Said they were the team to beat at the start of this session, and so it's proved. 4 drivers in the top 5. Leclerc, the fastest, and Albon are one of our race winners from Barcelona. Stuvig still attacking this racetrack, still on a time lap. He must have just snuck under as the clock ticked over. Can Fulco improve in front of him? He can't. Can Stuvig improve? He's up to 12th position. And that is the last of the flying laps. And there is your pole sitter for the first time in GP3. Charles Leclerc goes off to complete his admin, get weighed, and you'd see how pumped up he was. So Trident running right to the wire there in terms of the times. Just crossed the line before it ticked down to 0, so they earned the right to finish those laps, but not showing the promise. And if you're in a white and red car of ART, you have every opportunity of being at the sharp end. In GP3 in 2016, here's the lowest place of those ART runners. Narei Fukuzumi. As the drivers back into the garage, here's Boschong, who managed to get himself up to 4th. Not with this effort, though. He was off the road at turn 8, as we've seen so often this weekend. On a more composed lap, he did elevate himself up to 4th position, so a great effort for Boschong to be the highest non-ART runner. So De Vries walking in with his teammate. We saw Albon walking the other way as the field began to survey the state of play, and I think they already knew that it was extremely difficult to get anywhere near this man, Charles Leclerc, who takes the first of what promise to be many GP3 poles. Let's confirm the order then. After half an hour of qualifying, Charles Leclerc with his first ever GP3 pole. Then the ART of Albon half a second adrift, and De Vries, who wasn't able to capitalise on his strong pace from practice. Boschong, as I said, the first non-ART runner in 4th. Great lap from him at the end. Fukuzumi was 5th. Parry making quite a strong day for Karayan in 6th. Then Tunjo, Dennis, Hughes, who managed to finally get out of the 22nd position that he was occupying for so long. And Ferrucci, his teammate for Dams, completing the top 10. Then the 2 tridents of Fulco and Stuvig. Then we had Tatiana Calderon, Arta Janos, Aitken, Essikan, Palau, Stotthorst, who was not able to recreate the 3rd place we saw in practice. Disappointing for the Dutch driver. And then Jorg, Gonda, Nandi, and Terashenko wasn't able to compete, really. 1.6 seconds off the back in this session. Well, we threw down at the start of the broadcast that Leclerc was the man to beat. He still is the man to beat. Join us later on this afternoon, 5:10, when we go racing for the second time for the second round when GP3 returns.
Enjoy Sky Sports F1 Live on all screens, on the go, and the best bits on demand.